Just a brief mention of weight loss and weight gain as a problem in elderly rabbits. Because rabbits, as they age, are more prone to developing different problems, they may have weight loss or weight gain occur secondary to other issues. Common things that are going to cause these issues: reduction in their activity level. If they're not as playful as they once were, they're a little bit more relaxed, then they may have weight loss or weight gain occur. Alterations in their metabolism, and then concurrent underlying diseases can cause these. So the complications for weight gain. Well, as we already mentioned, wear and tear on the joints for these guys. That's the main thing, because we're just putting so much more pressure on the joints of these animals. The other thing that we will see as a complication for weight gain in older animals is fecal and urine scald. When animals get really large and they can't effectively turn around to clean themselves, because rabbits do defecate a lot, if they can't turn around and clean themselves, or they can't turn around to eat their cecotrophs, sometimes they'll sit in their poop or get cecotrophs stuck to them since they're kind of sticky. And then you can have, if that stuff sticks there, you can have it burn the skin. With urine scald too, that will happen because if we're really large, we can't turn around and clean, and we kind of maybe sit in our urine, that urine can actually burn the skin. So that's something we see with older rabbits that are on the heavier side. The problems with weight loss is muscle atrophy. We see that a lot in rabbits that are older, maybe not moving as much. Their muscles can atrophy easier, and then they can drop a lot of weight from it. And then if they have really atrophied muscles, they're not as strong, not as able to get around as they once were, and that's just going to discourage movement even more and be a problem for them. So with weight loss and weight gain, how do we treat it? Well, we're trying to get them to an ideal weight. No matter what it is, whether they're overweight or underweight, we just want to get them to that ideal weight. So for the weight loss patients, the patients that are overweight that need to lose some pounds, we have talked about it a little bit more in depth in other lectures, where we are really kind of focusing on that diet and trying to get it to a really ideal nutritional plane for the individual. The main thing that they're going to have to be getting, of course, is going to be their hay, because that's very low nutrient dense but very appropriate for a rabbit. And we're going to try to eliminate some of those higher calorie or more nutrient dense things, such as reducing the amount of pellets we're giving them, reducing the amount of treats we may be giving them. And of course, encouraging them to exercise too will help them with the weight loss that we want them to achieve. For rabbits that are underweight, I put up here, when we're dealing with a rabbit that's underweight and we're trying to get it to gain weight, it's really important to consult with a veterinarian to find out what is the ideal weight that we want to get this rabbit to. Of course, if we have an overweight rabbit, we really want to be doing the same thing. What is the appropriate weight to get this rabbit to? Because we don't want them to get underweight, of course. And if we're dealing with an underweight rabbit, we're trying to get it to gain weight, we need to make sure that we're not going overboard with it. So I just put that up as a little disclaimer. But for rabbits that are underweight and we're trying to get a little bit more pounds on them, then things that we'll sometimes recommend is increasing the amount of pellets or offering them things like oats to get just a little bit more calories into them. Also, we will sometimes recommend getting a little bit more protein intake into the rabbit. And there's a few ways that you can do that. Alfalfa hay is really a good source of protein. It's higher protein than Timothy hay. There are potential complications if you feed a rabbit alfalfa hay that's an adult. Alfalfa hay is really high in calcium, so if we have a rabbit that is underweight and we want to get a little bit of weight on them, we may recommend adding a little bit of alfalfa to their diet, but we would never recommend having it be their entire diet, because of the fact that we may then be giving them too much calcium that as an older rabbit they don't actually need, and we could result in some other problems like we've talked about before, urine sludge issues. So something that of course is really important to talk with your veterinarian to know, okay, how much does my individual rabbit need? How much can I maybe mix in for this rabbit? The other thing that we'll sometimes recommend to get them a little bit more protein, if we have a rabbit that's really underweight, we'll sometimes just recommend supplemental critical care feedings so that we know we're getting a little bit more nutrition into them. And sometimes with that critical care, we'll mix up a protein source in there. So things like soy protein, hemp protein have been used before to just get a little bit more protein into that animal. But again, very important to talk with your veterinarian to make sure what's appropriate for the individual. And if we have an underlying disease that's causing them to have weight loss, then of course we need to be addressing that too.